Alright, somebody asked me to do a video about my greenhouse chicken coop when it was all done. And it's not all done, but it's getting there. I'm pretty close. So I figured this would be a good time while I got all the tools outside. I'm kind of using it as a shed at the moment because I don't have a garage. So take a look real quick here. So just to start from the outside, I just got this in a couple of days ago. This is a cold frame, and I left a gap. You can see where that insulation is jammed in there at the moment. There's actually a gap through into the greenhouse, and the idea there was to kind of supercharge the heating. These are all windows that I got out of a warehouse in Detroit, and they're not completely attached yet. There's some trim work that needs to get done along here, but at the moment they do the job okay. And that top one, when it's all done, that one will be hinged. There's a little latch on there I'm going to put on the inside so that it will angle out and allow me to vent out the greenhouse when it's too hot. I've got my plants in there now. I put a little window down there. Probably not the greatest idea now that I, in retrospect, because if it ever breaks, it's easy for animals and other things to get in there. Probably pretty easy to break. So I just used 1x4s, 1x6s for my door frame. I used an old door that came off of a different house with a window in it. I come inside, I put in some wood flooring just temporarily. I'm going to get some insulation in the floor when I'm all done. I'll back up a tiny bit here. So I've just got some shelves installed now that it's time to start growing stuff. And I put one up high for all the random miscellaneous junk that I put in here. That's that window that's going to hinge open. Ceiling isn't perfect, but I do have it insulated with some really thick, I think it's R30 Rockwool insulation. I had somebody give me some. We'll come down here. I poured some cement at the front just to kind of hold those cinder blocks in. The cinder blocks are sunk into the ground except for the front two, while the front two are sunk in a little bit on the outside. And then as you can see, I used a angle bracket and a bolt sunk into the concrete to hold the whole thing to the ground. So there's 6 cinder blocks holding it down, 2 in the front and then 4 underneath the chicken coop area. This is where I just keep all my miscellaneous stuff on the cement up front, and then underneath that insulation there is where that gap into the cold frame is to help with the supercharging. So I don't have all of the cedar shake cut from the outside yet, but that's one of the windows. I put that one down on the ground level there on this wall. We've got another window here. Now we're inside. So these are my nesting boxes. So now I don't have to check for eggs in the rain or in the cold. I can come in here out of the weather. I left the bottom underneath opened but enclosed from the outside so that I could store straw and other things, diatomaceous earth, that kind of stuff down here from the inside so it stays dry. And then of course, because of we live in the city here, we've got to keep all of our food inside of a metal container just in case, because the rats can still get in. I'm not 100% done yet. There's some grit. And I funded a Kickstarter for this really neat thing called a gravity light like a year ago. And that is a whole nother thing. That is really, really cool to have out here. It's an LED light and it's powered by gravity. So we get it running. That bag is full of gravel and bricks, and we have a light at night and it just runs. There's no batteries. It's 30 or so minutes. I got my sensor out here for my temperature. I've got a gauge inside that tells me how hot and cold this greenhouse is. And then inside of there is the coop. Everything is still a work in progress. So obviously feel free to give me some insights, but also understand that I'm not done yet. So from the outside here, we'll back up a little bit. You can see the angled window wall. I ran the roof out a lot farther. If you look at Bill Mollison's drawing, he also has this set up so that the roof is far enough out that when the sun comes at the highest angle in the middle of the summer, it's going to cast a shadow down on that window and keep it from getting too hot. Not as much direct sun exposure. So from the outside here, I've got an access door for cleaning out the coop. I got feed in there at the moment, but I'm thinking I'm going to take the feeder out. There's my chickens. And the roosts and everything in there. And then they have their own little window on the east wall so that they get morning sun. They want to get out in the yard today. I've let them out a couple of times. And then here in the city, we are required to have a run. So I built my run. My run is 5 feet by 7 feet, which is more than enough for 3 chickens. Got their water here outside. I'm still working on some frost-free, freeze-free ways to give them water, but my pop hole on the back with the ramp. And at the moment I've been doing the deep litter method with straw, but I think this summer we're going to try sand and see how that goes. So we come around the other side here. My roof comes to one slope, so I cut a piece of PVC pipe for a gutter, and we've got that attached to a 55-gallon drum. It wasn't totally empty from the winter, but even with the spring rains, we got a full 55 gallons here. It's all coming off cedar, so it should be drinkable, but at the moment I'm just using it to water my plants. And now we're on the back side of the coop and run, and back up a little more here, and you can see I still have to trim the shake. This was the last job in the fall. I didn't even get the cedar all the way up to the roof, but I wrapped the entire building in tar paper before I started so that there weren't any gaps or cracks in the corners, and so that we had no draft or anything like that. So we got that lower window there, upper window here. These are the east wall, and then the window wall is of course the south wall. So hopefully that gives some people some idea of how I did it, and some, I don't know, inspiration or help or whatever you want to call it.